Hi cadets, good morning. Hope you have gone through all the slides, previous slides. We are in chapter number 4, that is Mughal Empire. In the previous classes, we discussed about the Mughal emperors who started the Mughal dynasty, that is Babur, and we also discussed about Humayun. And we also discussed in detail about Akbar and his campaign. I mean detail in the sense which are the places he attacked and captured. Okay. Let us move on to the next topic, that is Jahangir, next emperor of Mughal dynasty, that is Jahangir. Now, as I told you in the previous classes, here we discussed about the Mughal emperors in brief. But even though we discuss in brief, it is very important that you have to remember certain important dates or the years mentioned in that particular topic, because this can be asked in the examination. Okay, so that's the reason why please write down all those things are displayed in the slide. Let us move on to the next emperor who ruled Mughal kingdom, that is Jahangir. Jahangir, I told you, during the time of Jahangir, the British East India Company, they landed in India. In class 8, you studied about the trade to territory chapter, that is chapter number 2, that is trade to territory. In India, several European companies, trading companies, they visited India initially for the purpose of trade. Out of that, the British East India Company later they virtually became the rulers of India, and they ruled India up to 1947. So, beginning of the British East India Company was started during the time of Jahangir. The British East India Company landed in Surat, that is in year 1600. They landed in Surat. Initially, the British East India Company, they are not given a right or permit to trade in India, but later it was given by Jahangir in the year 1612. So, in the year 1612, Jahangir permitted the British to trade in India. With that, the British trade in India started flourishing, initially in Surat, later in Bengal, later in Madras, Bombay Presidency, and finally the entire country. Okay, let us move to this in brief. The military campaign started by Akbar. You studied Akbar ruled for a longer period of time, and most successful king of Mughal dynasty was Akbar. The military campaign started by Akbar continued. The Sisodia ruler of Mewar, Amar Singh, accepted the Mughal service. So, Shah Jahan, Jahangir defeated the rulers of Mewar. They are the Rajputs. And he also had an attempt to control Sikh Ahom. Ahom is a tribal group, and Ahmadnagar, Bahmani kingdom of Ahmadnagar. This Ahmadnagar, the Ahmadnagar had a continuous link with the Mughal kingdom, because later, after Jahangir, even Shah Jahan attacked on Ahmadnagar, and even later, Aurangzeb, he converted the Ahmadnagar. He also attacked Ahmadnagar. So, Ahmadnagar was continuously attacked by the Mughals. Who were ruling in Ahmadnagar? They were the Bahmani kingdom. Bahmani kingdom. Once the Bahmani kingdom was divided, then only offshoot of Bahmani kingdom is one of the kingdom which ruled Bijapur, that is Adil Shah. Prince Khurram, the future emperor Shah Jahan, rebelled in the last years of his reign. The efforts of Noor Jahan, Jahangir's wife, to marginalize him were unsuccessful. So, Jahangir had a few successes. He defeated the king of Mewar, and he, of course, an effort to control Sikh. He defeated Ahoms and Ahmadnagar. But in the last days of Jahangir, he could not successful because the rebellion within the kingdom. That means his son only rebelled against his father. As a result, he could not be successful. Even though Noor Jahan tried to control the rebellion was not controlled. As a result, the Jahangir's success story got an end. This is a brief detail about that. Because what is the contribution of Jahangir? Jahangir's contribution is Akbar's tomb, construction of Akbar's tomb. That is also one of the successful. And Jahangir is very famous for his artistic or contribution to the art and architecture. That's why Jahangir Art Gallery, even today it's very famous because the art gallery is named in the name of Jahangir. Because why the name is given Jahangir Art Gallery? Because his patronage to the art and architecture was more, especially for the art. Okay. So he patronized a school of art that is called miniature painting associated with the Mughal Empire. So Jahangir Art Gallery, if you go to Mumbai, you can visit Jahangir Art Gallery. It's very famous for the miniature painting. And Jahangir's another contribution is construction of Akbar tomb and tomb of Noor Jahan's father. Let us move to the next emperor, Shah Jahan. Cadets, you know Shah Jahan we remember because of the Taj Mahal. Isn't it? Taj Mahal is one of the greatest contribution of Mughal kingdom. It is even today considered as one of the glorious memory of past. Shah Jahan, actually when you compare Shah Jahan with Aurangzeb or with Akbar, Shah Jahan was not considered as a most successful Mughal king because his concentration was more on the construction of building called Taj Mahal. He neglected the administration of Mughal kingdom in the later part of his life. As a result, what happened? Aurangzeb hated his father maximum because Aurangzeb felt that the disintegration or the downfall of Mughal dynasty was started with the rule of Shah Jahan because of neglecting administration and giving too much importance for the construction of a building called Taj Mahal. This is an opinion of Aurangzeb. Opinion differs always. So, but let us study what the initial campaign by Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan ruled from 1627 to 1658. 1627 to 1658. Mughal campaign continued in the Deccan part under Shah Jahan. So, in the southern part of Maharashtra, Shah Jahan continued his campaign which was started from his predecessors. The Afghan noble Khan Jahan Lodi rebelled and was defeated. So, Afghans were defeated by Shah Jahan. Campaigns were launched against Ahmednagar. I told you reference of Ahmednagar was previous slide also is there. Here also you can see the reference of Ahmednagar. So, Shah Jahan also attacked Ahmednagar and defeated them. Bundels were defeated and Orcha was seized. So, Bundelkhand was also defeated and seized the land. In the northwest, campaigns seized to Balkha from the Uzbeks was unsuccessful. We studied about attack from Mongols and Uzbekistan. Uzbek rebels were also attacked during the time of Shah Jahan. Shah Jahan tried to control the attack of Uzbeks, but it was not successful. Kandahar was lost to Safwid. So Shah Jahan lost the Kandahar. In 1632, Ahmednagar was finally annexed and the Bijapur force sued to peace. So Ahmednagar was finally captured by Shah Jahan in the year 1632. And after capturing of Ahmednagar, Bijapur, Adil Shahis of Bijapur agreed to sign a peace treaty with Shah Jahan. That is, finally Bijapur, Adil Shahis were agreed to sign a peace treaty. But here also same thing what Akbar, what Humayun, everybody faced, the same thing also faced here. What is that? That is rebellion. In 1657 to 1658, there was a conflict or unsuccessful succession amongst Shah Jahan's sons. So there was a conflict for success of throne or capturing of power among the sons of Shah Jahan. Aurangzeb was victorious in brothers, including Dab Saku, was killed. Shah Jahan was imprisoned for the rest of his life in Agra. Now you see, there was a conflict between Shah Jahan's three children for capturing power or success of Mughal kingdom, and Aurangzeb emerged victorious by killing his own brothers. And Aurangzeb, the cruelty of Aurangzeb was predicted here, because Aurangzeb was very unhappy with his father's negligence of administration and giving importance for the Taj Mahal. As a result, you see, Aurangzeb imprisoned or kept his father Shah Jahan in jail, and Shah Jahan died in jail, who ruled a Mughal kingdom as an emperor, but his last days were not so good, because he died as a prisoner, or a person who spent his life in jail. So the great king Shah Jahan, who remembered today because of his contribution in the construction of Taj Mahal, but his last days died as a prisoner, that you remember. So what matters here, that your contribution, of course, a person made a huge contribution to the society, but how his personal life was not so good. So Aurangzeb came to power with the rebellion within the empire, and successfully controlled the rebellion of his own family members and entered to the kingdom. Okay. So here what you have to understand, when Aurangzeb was unhappy with his father, that is Shah Jahan, naturally Aurangzeb thought of shifting the capital from Delhi to different place. That's the reason why during the time of Aurangzeb, Aurangabad got its prominence, and Aurangabad became one of the major center of Mughal administration in India. So even there is a shift of importance of Mughal dynasties started during the time of Aurangzeb. That we will study in the later slides. Shah Jahan, of course, the full name of Shah Jahan, Shahabuddin ul Mahmud Quran. He ruled 1628 to 1658. The meaning of Shah Jahan, Persian meaning of Shah Jahan is ruler of the world. So this beautiful building is the greatest contribution of Shah Jahan, that is Taj Mahal. Taj Mahal even today considered as one of the wonders of the world, because of the material used as well as the artistic beauty of this building. Even today it's mesmerizing, or the greatest gift of Mughals to India. Let us move to the final known king of Mughal kingdom, that is Aurangzeb. Now before going in brief detail of Aurangzeb's rule, let me explain you why Aurangzeb was militarily successful, but as a king he was most unpopular. Aurangzeb was too much religious. He was considered as a religious fanatic. He lived a simple life, because he lived a life according to the preachings of Quran. But at the same time, he was the king who never tolerated the non-Muslims. That's the reason why the most controversial jizya tax, that is tax imposed on Hindus, was reintroduced by Aurangzeb. So Aurangzeb was not accepted like Akbar, because what is the difference between Akbar's rule and Aurangzeb's rule? Akbar was considered as the most successful king, because Akbar always appreciated and respected all the religion. That's what Deen-e-Ilahi. Akbar's one of the greatest friend was Birbal. So Akbar never differentiated people on the basis of religion, whereas Aurangzeb has done this. Another major difference between Aurangzeb and other kings. Aurangzeb, I told you, lived a simple life. When you visit Ahmednagar, or when you visit Ellora Caves, from Ellora Caves, when you come back to Aurangabad, then you can see Aurangzeb stone. Even today, Aurangzeb stone is a very simple building without having any kind of marvelous decorations. And Aurangzeb hated his father so badly. That's the reason why Aurangzeb he constructed one more a replica of Taj Mahal in Aurangabad, that is called Bibi Ka Maqbara. So when you visited Aurangabad, you can visit Bibi Ka Maqbara. It almost resembles like Taj Mahal. Of course, Taj Mahal it is not as rich as Taj Mahal because of the materials used by Taj Mahal. But if you see from the far distance, definitely it looks like Taj Mahal. That's why it is called replica or a duplicate Taj Mahal. That is what you see. This is the Bibi Ka Maqbara. So this Bibi Ka Maqbara also one of the expression or example of how Aurangzeb was hated his father and he wanted to regain or he wanted to construct a building, a replica of a building which is also to be recognized like a replica or a second Taj Mahal. Okay, let us move in detail. Okay, Aurangzeb ruled from 1658 to 1709. In the northeast, Ahoms were defeated in 1663 but rebelled again in 1680. The campaigns in the northeast by Yusufai and Sikh were temporarily successful. Mughal intervention in the success and the internal politics of Rathore Rajputs of Mewar led to the rebellion. Campaign against Maratha chief Shivaji were initially unsuccessful, but Aurangzeb insulted Shivaji, who escaped from Agra and declared himself as an independent king and resumed his campaign against the Mughals. Prince Akbar rebelled against Aurangzeb and received support from Marathas and the Deccan Sultanates and finally fled to Safid Khan. Okay. After Akbar's rebellion, Aurangzeb sent armies against Deccan Sultanates of Bijapur and annexed in 1685 and Golconda in 1687, and from 1698 Aurangzeb personally campaigned in the Deccan against the Marathas who started guerrilla warfare. Aurangzeb also had to face rebellion in North India of the Sikhs, Jats and Satnamis in the northeast, Ahoms, and in the Deccan part Marathas. His death was followed by unsuccessful conflict among his sons. So this is what we done, a fast reading about Aurangzeb. We will go through once again in detail about Aurangzeb in the next class. So please write down what all I explained to you, because if you write, you remember. Thank you very much. Take care.